can't believe I played the NBA still. Like it's like somebody pinching me. I read the back of some trading cards and I said, man, I wasn't that bad.
Thomas Terrell Brandon, born May 20th, 1970. Today's feature is one of my favorite point guards of the 90s. I struggled with which direction to go with his story because on one hand, to be a questionable 5'11" and play the way he did on every level is admirable. On the other, no matter his stature, he was a beast individually in college, playing well enough to leave after just 2 seasons and become the 11th pick and second point guard taken after Kenny Anderson went second overall in '91. My first memory of Terrell Brandon was when a rookie Allen Iverson broke his ankle so badly only the referees could save his pride, calling a carry on Allen, which in hindsight was a bad call to say the least, and the growing pains of one of basketball's best moves of all time. Through analyzing that play as a fan of Iverson over and over, I began to wonder who was the guy on the other end. Immediately, I liked Terrell's game, and he may have even been the first person I seen split the defense off a pick and roll, and was baffled how someone could be that far ahead and be that precise to pull that off. It's when I realized Allen Iverson, yes, was a superstar and my favorite player and having a great start to his Hall of Fame career, but Terrell Brandon was good too and had the talent to be a star in the league, much more than his final 2 seasons in Cleveland, where he averaged better than 19 points and 6 assists, shooting high 30s from distance and playing in all but 11 games. He was an all-star for the last time that very season Iverson checked his breaks as one of only 5 point guards that made the mid-season All-Star event in '97, along with Penny Hardaway, John Stockton, Gary Payton, and Jason Kidd, making him a top 5 point guard in the league for a very brief moment in a career that lasted 11 seasons. He was actually traded after that very year in a 3-team deal that sent superstar Shawn Kemp to Cleveland and Brandon to Milwaukee, then Minnesota, where he evolved into one of the league's best assist men, averaging a career-high 8.9 assists in '99-2000. His career began slowly, crept into an underrated top 5 status, and ended abruptly just after 30 years old, with doctors telling him he might have to have parts of his knee replaced in order to extend his career. He could shoot, pass, and dance apparently, but most importantly, he was one of the best taking care of the basketball and could run any system to a championship had he played with better teams during his career. Terrell Brandon could have really been a star if not for these reasons. Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Terrell Brandon was a 5'11" point guard from Portland, Oregon that starred for Grant High School, leading his team to 2 Class AAA championships. He was the Player of the Year for Oregon and fielded scholarship offers from all over the country, but decided on staying close to home and attend Oregon, coming in and immediately taking over point guard duties and leading his team in scoring, assists, steals, shooting 43% from 3, attempting over 3 a game. His sophomore year, he was top 10 in the nation in scoring at 26.6 points a game. In a season, guys were averaging 32, 29, and 28. Although his teams never made the NCAA tournament, Brandon was a first-team All-Pac-10 performer both years and the Conference Player of the Year in '91. He reluctantly decided it was best for he and his family to enter the NBA draft, where he was taken 11th by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Stunt number 1, playing behind Mark Price. In hindsight, of course, we know that Terrell Brandon's career was cut shorter than hoped due to injury, which means every year he spent in the league mattered as time ticked slowly toward a day he wasn't one of the fastest end-to-end or best leapers finishing above the rim occasionally or best steal men in the game because his quickness and athletic ability and anticipation dwindled. He spent his initial 4 years in the league serving as a quiet backup to All-Star Mark Price, who in his own right was one of the best point guards in the NBA during his prime. Maybe if he stayed in school a little longer, he could have been taken by a different team and put in a better situation to utilize his fleeting years in the NBA, but he didn't and wasn't. He also didn't need to. College basketball wasn't serving Brandon any longer, as Oregon were a bad team that hadn't made the NCAA tournament since the 60-61 season and wouldn't make the tournament in either of Terrell's 2 seasons plus another 4 more years. He was also at his individual peak, leading the team in multiple categories including scoring, steals, assists, 3-point shooting, and minutes played. He was the conference's best player and clearly a lottery pick should he decide to strike while the iron was hot. Stunt number 2, injuries slowed him down. You could say Brandon being traded from Cleveland, where he was comfortable and just about to enter his prime, threw his career off, but it was more injury at that point that slowed him down more than anything. Brandon, who was born with feet and leg deformation, where the doctors wanted to break both legs to make them straight, was probably always going to deal with some sort of lower body injuries playing the sport he was, where running and jumping are mandatory. During his 97-98 season with the Bucks, he played just 50 games due to multiple ankle injuries slowing him down. The first coming December 13, 97, which sidelined him for 17 days, then a second February 5, 98, where he missed the team's next 24 straight games. He missed so many games that whispers around the league about Brandon was how long does it take for a sprained ankle to heal? But for Terrell, who also had a steel rod in his leg from a surgery in 95 after breaking his tibia, knew he wasn't right enough to take the floor. He played 36 games in 98-99's lockout season, 15 in Milwaukee and 21 in Minnesota, clearly hampered by injuries that dented his scoring, his 3-point shooting, and ability on defense. Stunt number 3, the inevitable. Like mentioned, Terrell Brandon's body from the beginning was a constructional work in progress that would eventually have too much going on to play any longer. From being born with his legs and feet out of structure, to surgery to fix a tibia through steel rotting, to ankle injuries so bad they fielded questions about his heart and toughness, to his career being slowed and cut short because his knees got so bad he needed to try an experimental knee surgery that ended his career. Microfracture surgery became the only option for Brandon after a short 2 healthy playing years in Minnesota after 98-99. Brandon was making the best of losing his athleticism by upping his assists per game to one of the best in the league. Then in 01-02, he struggled with a bad left knee and was placed on the injury list February 2002, scheduled to have arthroscopic surgery on his knee, to which he never played another game after, not healing like expected, and just like that, it was over. All in all, Terrell Brandon transitioned into life after basketball well in his local hometown, Portland, Oregon, and became a mentor for kids in his local community. His career was solid, finishing with averages of almost 14 points a game and 6 assists. Not bad, but you can't help but think the star he could have been if not for these reasons. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.